Hey guys, this is Mitchell from GameFront. I wanted to chat at some length about combat in Bioshock Infinite, which was something that I thought was very strong and incredibly refreshing change from what I had gotten used to in the first-person shooter world. But as I took to the internet, it was a surprise to me that my sentiment was seemingly not widely shared. Sure, most critics out there really like Bioshock Infinite, but as I've talked with my colleagues, I've noticed that there are a good amount of people who are frustrated by Bioshock Infinite's combat, with some even saying that being a shooter is what's holding the game back. So I wanted to share my experience with it and go into detail about why I think Bioshock Infinite's combat is extraordinary and on par with everything else in the game. First of all, Bioshock Infinite is not like any other shooter. Well, except maybe Bioshock. It's not a game about sitting in cover and playing whack-a-mole waiting for an enemy to pop its head out. It's dynamic, it's fast-paced, and if you want to survive, you need to keep on moving because the combat arenas are so open, you can be shot from every angle. While some would consider this to be a knock against the game, I think it's actually one of the core things that makes Infinite's combat so exciting, and makes every battle feel so unique. With the action constantly moving, I always had to think on my feet, thinking about ways to do damage while mitigating the damage that I take. And this was not something that I just immediately got. It's something that you're supposed to learn as you play the game and experiment with the game's tools. For example, early on in the game you get the Possession Vigor and its very cheap upgrade. And early on the game teaches you everything you need to know about it. Right here, this moment. You have a turret in front of you and a bunch of guys on the other side. So obviously you think, possess the turret, take out the guys, and then kill the turret. You learn 4 things here that will serve you extremely well throughout the rest of the game. 1. Turrets absolutely destroy basic enemies. 2. Enemies do a good amount of damage to the turrets while they're being possessed. 3. While a turret is possessed, you do crap damage to it. And 4. The possession eventually wears off after a pretty long time. This knowledge is invaluable in pretty much every battle that involves turrets or some other form of mechanical enemy, with the exception of Iron Patriots, whom I'll get to in a little bit. But before I get into that, I wanted to address Kirk Hamilton's illustration of a typical Bioshock Infinite encounter and how a similar encounter would play out for me. I see some guards up ahead. They don't see me yet. Okay, now they see me. Everyone is shooting at me. I fire off some Murder of Crows and make them stop for a second, and I kill as many as I can. I realize though that Murder of Crows really doesn't stop them long enough and is probably not ideal for this situation. Crap! A turret! I hear its signature ringtone and I know that I'm... Wait, actually... This is just what I need. I locate and possess the turret because, we learned about this way early on in the game. Damn, the rocket infantry took out my turret before it could do much damage. But, fortunately, I have enough salt for one more possession. The machine gun I brought in through a tear got killed, but there's another option. I can call in the grappling points and use skyline strikes to finish the rest of these guys off. And that's just an example of one encounter. One of the things I love about Bioshock Infinite's combat is that every encounter is designed to be different. Some involve skylines, some take place on boats, some have a variety of tears that you can use, some encourage you to use skyhooks and skyline strikes, some are geared towards new powers that you just learned, etc. Nearly every single battle has some sort of unique twist involved. That's just something you don't see in many other games of this genre. Complicating matters in battles are the additions of special enemy types: crows, firemen, rocket infantry, Iron Patriots, and handymen. These guys can absorb an absurd amount of punishment and can immediately take your shields away if you get close. And they initially seem pretty unfair. But remember, Vigor is an experimentation. Bioshock Infinite is a game that aims to teach you by making you learn from your mistakes. If you're not playing in 1999 mode, the game is extremely generous with respawns and will often start you off with more health and salts than you might have started with, in addition to keeping most of the damage you've dealt to enemies. So experiment! If one Vigor doesn't seem to be helping, try something else. When fighting against crows and firemen who break your shields when they get close, just don't let them get close. Use Bucking Bronco to put them in the air for a while. Bucking Bronco has a low salt cost for a reason. It's meant for this kind of spamming against tough enemies like crows and firemen. Rocket infantry are ridiculously durable, but they're basic infantry, and possessing them not only turns an extremely powerful foe against its allies, but it also results in a suicide. Iron Patriots are a little more challenging. The initial thought might be, these guys are super strong so I'll possess them, but you quickly learn that that doesn't work because the possession time on them is really short. Eventually you'll wind up at Shock Jockey, which not only freezes them for a bit, but also causes them to take more damage from your attacks. And hey, like Bucking Bronco, it has a low salt cost, making it easy to spam. It's like Irrational knew that people would try this and made it a viable option for taking these guys down. Obviously, you've got a finite supply of salt and you're going to run out eventually, but that also leads to another thing I like about the combat. The rush of scrounging around the environment in a pinch, finding that file of salts that you need for just one more vigor, turning back around to face your pursuers and being like, alright, round 3, bitches! Bioshock Infinite's combat is a very deliberate design that I think has great appeal to a large group of gamers. I can definitely understand how some might be overwhelmed by all the craziness going on and how it forces you to constantly react to enemies appearing from every direction, but for every advantage the game gives to its enemies, it gives you just as many. I'm not saying it's perfect. I personally feel like the machine gun and some of the other weapons could have had some tweaks to make them feel a little bit better. But as far as the core design of Infinite's combat goes, I really can't think of a time I've been more impressed by the combat of a first-person shooter. So, that's my whole thing about Infinite's combat. Agree? Disagree? Let us know in the comments, and if you did like this video, please don't forget to click that like button on the video and subscribe to GameFront. Alright, see you later. There's a tear up there. Wait, I wasn't done looking. First thing we're gonna do, let's see if we can possess that turret all the way over there. Got it. Eat it!